Hello, my name's Cara. I'm from Southampton, and anybody who knows me knows that I've been banging on about shipping containers for years, about how they could be repurposed and used as accommodation. I think we're all suffering a bit from cabin fever at the moment. I actually live in a studio flat anyway, so it's not much bigger than a shipping container. It's about 25 square metres. But there are other people who actually do live in shipping containers, and I think it's a really useful thing to do with a lot of empty containers that are sitting in docksides around the world, and I think there's the prospect of an awful lot more in the years to come. So I'm going to show you some examples of architects who've used shipping containers, and then I'll show you my little model village that I made of little cardboard containers, a little bit like Lego bricks that you can kind of reconfigure into different designs. So this is in London, Container City, which is opposite the O2 Arena at it's sort of in the Docklands area, and it's Trinity Buoy Wharf is what it's originally called. This was the first development they did, which was Container City 1, where the containers are just kind of stacked in a uniform way. And then when they did the second phase, they reconfigured them in different designs using kind of portholes as windows, taking out the front of them to actually create kind of patio areas, and stacking them on top and painting them all sorts of different colours, and even inverting them to make staircases as well, and creating bridges between the different areas. So there's lots of people who live and work in Container City in London, and what I've done is I've put some photographs as well, hopefully onto the website, which you can have a look at in a bit more detail afterwards. So here are some examples from Australia. So this was more kind of leisure purposes. So this is a bar called Section 8 in Melbourne, just one little container bar that popped up in different places around the city, and people would just come and drink al fresco, and here they were actually doing an art workshop here. Then it was also, they were used for the Commonwealth Games in 2006. So there was a festival venue that was set up at St Kilda, and this was actually in an old warehouse at Docklands, where they had lots of different containers that again were kind of linked with bridgeways and things for different artists to display their work in. So you went inside the warehouse, and then you went up ramps and bridges and things into the different containers, which was really good fun. More architectural stuff here. The Container City one here, which we've already seen. This one here is Sean Godsall, who's interesting. He's actually designed an emergency housing unit from a shipping container. So all the bits that you would need go inside the container. So it's got solar panels, it's got pull down beds and furniture, tables and chairs. It's got you know, a water butt, and the whole idea is that because it's a uniform size, it could be shipped out to anywhere where there was a disaster, and you've got an instant kind of pop-up house there, which would actually sort of suit a family. Then Adam Colkin is a really interesting architect who's scaled things up using lots of different containers to create homes. So this one here is called 12 Container House. So again, it's sort of within a warehouse with lots of containers inside, and then a smaller one here, which I think is actually used as an art gallery. But again, you could find examples of his work online. And then at the bottom there is a design that I did, which was originally supposed to be for the art centre space where the Nuffield and John Hansard galleries are now in Southampton. The space was going to be redundant. Well, it was redundant for quite a few years after the department store was pulled down. So I had this proposal to actually create a temporary art space out of shipping containers, and actually sort of using the two end walls of the existing buildings and having a view through to the park behind, and a stage area where you could do performances. And I did get as far as actually showing it to the council, and they did think it was a great idea, but I had a feeling that the public might have thought it was so good that they didn't want to see it go in order to build a proper art centre. So it never actually came to fruition, but it did get quite a lot of attention, which was fun. So here's one of my designs that I did with a slightly falling down wind turbine on the roof. This was for my foundation art and design course that I did in Swansea. So this was in 2008. And this was a little self-contained eco house. So the idea was that you had a central kind of courtyard area with a covered roof, which actually had a pool on the top that you could probably use for like having fish in, and then there was going to be areas where you could grow fruit and vegetables and things on top of the actual roofs as containers. There's a design sheet here, so again you can't see this, like, because I can't get a close-up shot of it, but I'll put it onto the photograph section on the internet. But yeah, the idea was it was a self-sufficient house that would generate its own electricity, and it would have solar panels on the roofs as well. And then for my actual final project, the exhibition that I did was a whole collection of little containers which are housed inside the box here. So the idea was that they all had interconnecting doors and windows, different kind of configurations, so that you could actually put it together in different interesting ways. So what we were going to do at God's House Tower was that we were actually going to have this as an interactive piece so that people could actually play around with it. So for example, you've got interconnecting doors here that you could put together like that, and then you could just stack more of them on top. So, and then just, you know, just change them around however you felt like doing it, really. So it's a shame really, because the whole point was that with a lot of exhibitions that you go to, you can't actually play around with them, whereas this one you could. So hopefully, if things get back to normal at some stage, we will be able to do it again, and then people could actually sort of play around with them. So it covers quite a large area. So what I'll do now is I'll set it up, and then I'll show you a shot of how it looks like when it's all finished. So here's my little shipping container village set up. So there's water butts and compost bins and solar panels and another lopsided wind turbine at the back, and some trees and some walkways and verandas and areas where you could sit outside. So yeah, it's all lots of interconnecting internal doors so that you could kind of walk between units. So this, you know, could either be a great big house or it could be separate apartments, but it's quite good fun to play around with it, because it's like playing with Lego really, and you just reconfigure it in different ways. So this will give you a bit of an idea of the detail of it inside, in case you fancied sort of doing something similar. So it's just a box which has got tabs that are stuck down. You might just be able to see them in the corner there, so that gives it the rigidity. And then you just need a Stanley knife to just cut into the cardboard to give it the windows and the doors, and then you could play around with it yourself. I added some corrugated cardboard at the ends just to make it look a little bit more like the containers themselves. But in these days of lockdown, this might be quite a nice activity to do, to take you into another world, and it's something creative that might sort of keep your mind off things. Thank you very much for watching my funny little presentation on the shipping containers and my little model village. And I think at the moment we're in the worst of times, but perhaps also in the best of times. It's giving us a chance to sit back, relax, be peaceful, quiet, think, read, be creative, and maybe doing a little project like this can actually take you into another reality and think that perhaps another world is possible. And that reminds me, I've got my recycled shirt on, which was made from one shirt stitched onto another shirt with a ship on the front, which made me think, I wonder what's going to happen to cruise ships if the cruise industry collapses, and I wonder if they might possibly solve the housing crisis, and they could all be turned into little self-contained studio flats for people. So let your imagination run riot and stay safe.
Hi, my name is Mia. I'm the acting programme lead at A Space Arts. I'd like to thank you for watching this video, and if you can spare a few pennies for GHT, please follow the link in the description below to donate to our PayPal account. The money you donate will help support the organisation through this difficult time and allow us to continue developing content like this to keep us all entertained at home. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking here and hitting subscribe, and you can watch more quality content from GHT by clicking here. Thanks again everybody, and stay safe.